Hey, all right, welcome back to another episode of Raff's Brain, a show about things that are interesting to me. This is your host, Rob Raffety, and it's time for a long overdue round of walk and talk. That's right, stream of consciousness style, ladies and gentlemen. I just got to get my steps in every once in a while. I try to be much more routinized about that. It's been tough lately. I'll explain in a few. But ideally, if I could at least once a week rip off a little commentary during one of my half-hour or so jaunts, I feel like that could be a nice way to multitask, create some content, get some steps in. It's a win-win, as we say. Oh my goodness. I have a lot to update you on, folks. It's been a crazy, chaotic, couple of months. For all my loyal listeners, the brainiacs, yes, ladies and gentlemen, there are a handful of you out there who have questionable judgment and listen to these episodes, which I appreciate. But man, oh man, I think it was really starting around early mid-October when I came down with the dreaded disease, RSV, is that what it's called? Respiratory something or other, / pneumonia / whatever, sinus they thought it was. It was a chaotic month and a half. The cough would not go away. I'm only now, finally, 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks after this. I'm finally coming out of my filth and disease state, and I'm feeling a lot better. But man, it took a long time. I haven't been that sick in a long time, so that derailed me on one margin. Then we had a death in the family. For those of you who weren't aware, my wife's father passed away in early October, so that was a pretty devastating blow and challenging moment. And then no joke, just last week, 1 month after my wife's father passed away, my wife's, I don't know how you define this relative, it's my wife's brother's father-in-law. So what relation does that make that gentleman to my wife? I don't know, but that's the circumstance. He was a good guy, and because my wife is so much younger than her brother, really, her brother's in-laws were kind of like a second set of parents. So it was tough. Oh, man. So I'd jet over to Pittsburgh. And then I took the opportunity to dip down to West Virginia, my old homestead, where my father, a widower of about, 6-7 months, is still getting back on his feet. So that's a challenge. Got my sister down there, her family, my niece Mallory. I have a brief recording of a conversation I had with her that I'll throw up there on Riffin' with Raff. That'll be my third interview with Mallory. She is by far my most frequent guest. Very loquacious. No, she's not that loquacious. She's talkative. I'm just curious about what it's like to be a 16-year-old these days, and I admire her for her work ethic at the local movie theater. So stay tuned for that upcoming episode of Riffin' with Raff. Just a little update on the life and times of the Upshur Cinema 6. But what I want to talk about here is what's on my mind lately, and it's just tough. Between my mom, my father-in-law, my wife's brothers, in-laws, it's just been one after another. And to some degree, you have to just accept it. It's part of life, What's the big deal? We're all going to lose those that we love. That's just the nature of the beast. It's kind of what you're getting yourself into when you sign up for this. Of course, nobody really signs up for this, do they? You get signed up for it, and then you have to figure it out. But at a certain point, you come to grips with the reality And for most people, the cycle of life is your parents are going to predecease you. Your grandparents, your parents, older friends of the family, older relatives, aunts, uncles, etc. At some point, they're likely to predecease you. And you kind of want that way, right? I mean, hopefully the older generation dies off first. Otherwise, it's kind of tragic, right? You don't want that reverse order. So you try to take solace in that. But it's just happening so fast, man. Wham, bam. One after the next. And it's just really does kind of jar my consciousness a little bit. You know, what am I doing? Of course, then I have my birthday in October, the big 4-9. I'm on the cusp of half-century mark. That does a number on your situation, right? So, bottom line, oh man, you know what I just realized? I forgot to start the Apple Watch, dude. This is a challenge. You know, I'm trying to get the exercise and getting the steps in. But if you don't track them, if this is not an outdoor workout, does it count to my rings? The answer is no. Now, occasionally the technology is, I don't know how it does it. It can detect like, oh, hey, are you on a walk? This is fascinating. You guys know what I'm talking about. You get in your car and you drive like a minute and something pops up on your watch. Hey, it takes you about, X minutes to get to your destination. Well, how do you know where I'm going? Because it knows your habits. Hey, traffic's moderate today. It'll take you 7 minutes to get to work. How'd you know I was going to work? Oh, because it's 8 a.m. That's what you do. So, fascinating. I'm not creeped out by it too much. But it even worked when I was in West Virginia this weekend. As I hopped in the car, I go a couple miles out of town. It's like, it'll take you about 3 hours and 48 minutes to get home with the current weather and traffic conditions. I was like, wow. How do you know I'm not like going over to Walmart? It just has a sense of things. It's fascinating. Utterly fascinating. Because I do drive around when I'm in West Virginia. How does it know? It knows because it triangulates, man. It's aware of your previous patterns of behavior. It kind of has a sense of when you might be leaving if you're at a foreign destination. This is all me speculating here. I don't know how these things work. It's pretty remarkable. It's the predictive powers of AI. I'm not afraid of it. Now, people are nervous. My dad's freaked out. He's like, AI is evil. I'm like, Dad, it's not going to be evil. This is just the next step in the greatness of human genius. Just to embrace it. Don't resist it. He's coming around. He likes the fact that when he does these like mega texts. Yo, man, I have to confess, I do think there's probably a positive relationship between your age and the length of your standard text message. I have to confess, dude, I'm 49 years old. My texts are starting to creep up in length. I'm not writing full-on novels like my dad yet. But I am definitely pushing the boundaries of good taste. Even people in my age cohort are like throwing the flag on me for this. I'm in like so many different group texts. I have one with my West Virginia friends, one with my West Virginia Wesleyan College friends, one with my fraternity brother friends, and we're always like bouncing back text messages. And you gotta like code switch, right? If you're in more than a handful of text groups like this, you got to know who you're talking to. Some of them you're going to come in hot. You're going to come in heavy. You're going to be talking sports, boxing, the Tyson match. Oh, yeah. Who was all up in that this weekend? What a joke. God. I'm not saying it was rigged. That's a little bit of an extreme, but it just wasn't very entertaining. But nevertheless, the dude's 60 or 58. I don't know. He'd kick my ass in a heartbeat. I know that. Still. Anyway, where am I going with all this? Like I said, it's a walk and talk stream of consciousness, baby. There are no plans. There is no agenda. It's just a form of distraction while I close this circle on my watch and get those steps in. Good times. So, oh man, it's just between the human beings that are passing away in my life this year. I also got my dog, Conan, or Conan, depending on his attitude. He's pushing 15. I mean, he's 14 and a half at this point. That's a pretty long life for any dog, let alone a little beagle mix, mutt, scrappy, whatever the hell this thing is. We did one of those genetic tests on him, and it came back like a bunch of question marks. Like, you got us. Super mutt, I think is what they call that. And I love it, dude. I love it. People would always ask us at dog parks and other venues, like, hey, what is that dog? That's a good-looking dog. What type of dog is that? And we would, of course, always just have to apologize. I'm sorry, we didn't pay, $10,000 for some genetically manufactured Atreyu, whatever people are getting, these mixed breeds and whatever the heck's going on today. They like manufacture these things out of a lab. I'm not talking about a Labrador Retriever. I'm talking about a science lab. Have you seen the latest crisscrosses? It's like a poodle, a labradoodle, a Remington Steel. What are the names of these dogs, these breeds? Anyway, my wife and I came up with a fun retort. We've only had to use it a couple times, and we have to always just laugh it off because it's just an answer. Because you get tired of hearing people ask, "What type of dog is that? What breed is that? My goodness, he's so stocky." That's a polite way of saying he's a fat slob. Yes, my dog likes to eat. He's got some girth. Got a problem with it? What type of dog is that? What breed is that? We started saying, what type of breed is this? Don't you know? Don't you understand canines? What type of dog owner are you? Why, this is a Charles Dickworthy. A what? A Charles Dickworthy. Chaz Dickworthy, yes. It's a very regal breed formulated in the late 17th century in Manchester, England. A working dog. You can just make this up. People actually nod their head. Oh yeah, a Charles Dickworthy. A Chaz Dickworthy, yes. I'm very familiar. Get me one of those. We had one of those when I was a kid. My neighbor had a Chaz Dickworthy when I was growing up. Yeah, oh, that's cool. Good to see. No, dude, we just made that up. A Dickworthy. A Charles Dickworthy. I really want to make a short video about the breed of dog. The Charles Dickworthy. I could come up with the entire backstory of the history of the breed, its purpose, its evolution, its ebbs and flows and popularity, and its resurgence in modern American Northeast, Mid-Atlantic region in the late 20-aughts. I would like to do that. A kind of mockumentary style short film about the Charles Dickworthy, aka Chaz Dickworthy. That's just a thought that came to me. Anyway, my dog, what I was trying to say is Conan, or Conan, depending on his disposition, is, pushing the upper boundaries of his existence, let's be honest. So that's going to happen. That's no good. I'm hoping he can make it through 2024. But on the other hand, it would just be fitting if I woke up tomorrow and he was, crossed the Rainbow Bridge. I hate that, man. I hate the thought of it. Man. But so here's the thing, though, with him. He's got some little growth on his paw. Like his right digit, that's like that one, they have little fingers, little paw finger, I don't know what they're called. It's got like a growth, like a tumor. We took him into the vet. They scraped it off, took a sample. It's benign. But it's definitely uncomfortable. It really annoys him. So he's got all sorts of meds. He's hopped up. He's either asleep or he's like banging in the walls because he doesn't know what the hell's going on. He's loopy all the time or trying to keep him out of pain. And in a couple weeks, they're going to operate. They're just going to slice it off, like taking your pinky off, basically. Now, the upside is, according to the vet, this is not a load-bearing digit. Therefore, it shouldn't affect his gait. Because, we wouldn't want the dog's gait affected when he's 14 years old, running around chasing squirrels and foxes or whatever the hell else is around in our neighborhood any given time. Yeah, I'm concerned about his gait. Thank you for allaying my greatest fear. So we're going to pay out the nose for that operation. He maybe will have a higher quality of life for what's remaining. Now, here's the thing, folks. This is unpredictable, right? He's in good shape, even though he's overweight. He's stocky. He's big boned. Conan is in good shape. He's got a really good heart, they say. So he can handle this operation. He's going to have to go under twilight. I mean, it's like you're getting your pinky yanked off. They don't just do that willy-nilly. They got to go under. So they'll gas him up or whatever they do. I don't even know. What do they do? Surgery for dogs. Elder dog surgery. Is that a special... You probably have to go to school for a couple extra years for that. That's why they charge a premium. Oh yeah, this usually it would only cost you like $50 to have, some dude in the back alley yank out your dog's paw. But because he's over 14 years old, it's going to run you about $1,500. I don't know, something like that. Actually, the price range is, I don't know. It's a little, I could say, wider than I would have preferred. This is going to cost you somewhere between $1,300 and $15,000. Are you okay with that? It's not quite that vast. But it's something like $1,300 to $3,500. It all depends on how many hours he's under the knife. Dog surgeons charge by the hour. So I'm just hoping that my vet had an extra shot of espresso that morning, get things done. Let's get to work. Don't be slow rolling this to rack up the bill. What surgeons charge by the hour? Come on, man. I want a flat rate for my pet digit removal surgery. What are we talking about? What are we actually talking about? So anyway, that's going to happen, and hopefully he'll recover, and we'll get a couple more months, maybe years of life. And that's important, if you get a good quality of life, that's what matters. And, so relatedly, interestingly, it's a similar situation. My dad's got some knee issues, bro. Big time. Like, I don't know, arthritis, something. So he's going to get knee replacement. Knee replacement. Think about that for a second. You're going to take a joint of your body and replace it with something else, like a titanium nugget. It's like the $1 Million Man, $6 Million Man. Remember that show? Of course you don't. Half of the people listening to this have no idea what I'm talking about. But back in the 70s, when I was a kid, I was growing up, I distinctly remember this TV show called The $6 Million Man. That's when $6 million was a ton of money. $6 million is unfathomable amount of money in 1978. And today it's like, oh yeah, I just lost that in crypto overnight or whatever. I wish. Anyway, what's the point? The point is, my dog's paw's getting yanked out, my dad's knees getting replaced, all these things, people are dying left and right. I just turned 49. And that's like a culmination, man. You put all that together, you mix it around into this concoction of goo that just kind of coats your brain for 2 months nonstop. And of course, it starts to get you down. And it gets in the way of my productivity and my creativity and my ambition. It's just like you can't stop thinking about your own mortality. Oh man, I got these own little aches and pains, these own little, I don't know, problems, physical problems, the ailments, man, of my life. It's catching up with me. And I'm great. I'm doing yoga all the time. That shit doesn't matter. It's not helping me out. What's going on? I thought this was supposed to solve my problems. The actual reality of my situation is I have great flexibility for a 49-year-old man. I can touch my toes. I can stand on one foot for like 10 minutes. I have no problems, man. I got some good balance. I got some good flexibility. I got some good stamina. What I lack is cardio, intensive capability. My muscles are okay because, in yoga you do planks, you do push-ups, you do all sorts of good stuff. So I'm okay. But I'm not like dominant. I'm not like... So what I'm getting at is, if I really want to take my health seriously, which I allegedly do, but it's all stated preference. The revealed preference is to not take the actions that are necessary. So I'm lying to myself. I'm lying to you. I'm lying to the world when I claim that I care about my health. I say these things. I give lip service to these things. I acknowledge what a good versus bad, healthy situation looks like. But reality is I'm not taking the steps necessary on all dimensions. So how do you make that transformation in your life? I know it's possible. I have friends. I've seen people change. I mean dramatic changes. And you all know this. You all have people in your lives that have overcome extraordinary odds. They've done things that you never would have imagined. And typically it's for the better. They clean up their act. They get sober. They start making better decisions. I don't know. I'm kind of like, I feel like I'm the same person. I know I'm not. Time goes on. Your body replenishes itself every couple of years, right? So technically my physical embodiment has changed multiple times. Even my brain cells have been recycled. Is that true? I heard this thing when I was growing up, especially as I was beginning to drink. There was this little running joke alcohol kills brain cells, but only the weak ones. You gotta weed them out, dude. That was a funny thing to think about when you were pounding Meisterbrow on a Tuesday afternoon. Oh goodness, the college days. You just never really appreciate your health, your wellness, your resilience, the bounce back ability. Is that a word? Let's make it a word. Oxford Dictionary, please adopt this word next year. Bounce back ability. It's like a hyphenated word. Bounce back ability. I just pulled it out of my butt right here on this walk. But I think it's going to be a candidate for Word of the Year in 2025 with the help of the Raff's Brain audience. I want you to use it at least once today, my friends. Bounce back ability. Pull it out in conversation at the coffee machine, at the water cooler. Do people even do that anymore? Let's just roll with it. If you're a remote worker, just pull it out on a Teams call, on a Zoom chat with a client. How are you feeling about the bounce back ability of your situation? I don't know. We got to use that in a sentence better. I'm going to pull that out for the script's spelling bee. How would you spell that? Can you use it in a sentence? What's the language of origin? Bounce back ability. Can you say that again, please? Bounce back ability. Can you use it in a sentence? This gentleman has extraordinary bounce back ability after his fall down the Grand Canyon. I don't know, man. All I'm saying is it goes fast. Youth, it just is by in an instant. And then it's all just a bunch of memories, and they're all very skewed because nostalgia is a lie. But it's such a splendid lie. I dig it. I like to think back about the good old days, the 90s. Everything was so chill, hunky-dory, right? No, man. We had the same type of junk going down back then. People had issues. The world was on edge. Things have not changed that much. Our perspective changes over the years. We get older, we get wiser. But reality is, the only new thing under the sun is the history you don't know. I love that quote. I'm going to look it up. I don't know who said it, but I believe it to be true. Where am I going with this? I'm just saying, I'm struggling a little bit lately. The past couple months, I've missed my mark. I have ambitions. I had this whole idea for a kind of a produced episode of Raff's Brain about birthdays. I want to get that cranked out. Maybe this week I'll put some elbow grease into that. I don't know. I also wanted to launch a vision statement or State of the Union. That was something I talked about a few weeks ago. Every birthday, summarizing the state of your personal union, I guess would be the way to put it. What's going on in your life? How do you rank and categorize the different dimensions of your existence, and how would that evolve if you did it every year? So I was going to try to do that. I obviously missed the mark, but I want to catch up on these things. I'm kind of making a claim that I'm going to do it, but again, is it a stated preference? Is it a revealed preference? Will I actually follow through and execute? I had a daily banjo routine going for like 6 days. That got derailed. I got to get back on the track, man. Maybe I'm just trying to do too much. I gotta narrow down. Let's start with the podcast. What if I was like, I just gotta like map it out, write it down. What are my commitments here? A lot of it's spontaneous, like I just pull it out on a whim, like the walk and talk. Hey, I haven't done one of those in a while. Let's just pull it out, What if I got a little bit more intentional about it and said I'm going to do 1 to 2 walk and talks a week. I'm going to do 2 to 3 hot yoga problems a week. I'm going to do 1 to 2 riffing with Raffs a week. Those are the kind of streams of the show at the moment. I have those more produced slide decks. I started out with those. I haven't revisited that in a long time. It's like too much time to put that together. I discovered I'm not as big a fan of that as I initially thought I would be. But I could do 1 a month, right? What if that was the ambition? Just dial it back a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. So I just need to write this down. That'll be my podcast agenda. And again, it's a good time because I'm moving into the new year, 2025. I'm going to crush it. I'm going to give 2024 the double bird because that's what it deserves on about every dimension. Man. So what if that's on the podcasting front? Those are realistic ambitions. It's not impossible. I want to do more short content, short video content, TikTok, Reels, things like that. I have some capability there. I have some raw talent. I have ideas. It's all about execution. It's not the ideas. It's holding me back. It's the execution. So could I do like 1 to 2 Reels a week? That doesn't seem like a lot, but it is. It's not easy to execute, man. Darn it. So I gotta write this down. Going into 2025, I gotta get serious about what I'm gonna try to do as a content creator, audio visual production. I would greatly value your feedback on this. Hey, by the way, let's wrap this episode up with a shout out to some of my loyal listeners. Yes, you know who you are. One of you, actually, there were 3 people I think I'll note. I won't name names. I wouldn't want to admit that anybody listens to this show. I wouldn't want to out any of you publicly as spending any amount of time consuming this content. I don't want this to reflect poorly on your good taste and judgment. So one person reached out multiple times, actually. This is a person who I think enjoys my content and has cool ideas for other things I could talk about. He sent me a news release a few weeks ago about a Taco Bell app innovation. It's perfect because Taco Bell is like right up the street for me. I don't go there as much as I should, given its proximity. I should be hitting that up at least once or once a month, once a week, once a fortnight. This is amazing. I actually downloaded the Taco Bell app, played around with the feature. I should talk about it. It's pretty cool. What you do, and this is genius, frankly, because usually most of your fast food apps, you just pick the product and you order it, and maybe you pick it up or you get some discounts, It's interesting, but there's not like anything groundbreaking. Taco Bell is bringing some innovation to the game. They have this feature where you put in how much money you have. So like, what type of spare change can you scrounge up when it's like 2 a.m? You just got back from a bender and you're just jonesing. You got to get some grub. Oh man, you don't have any cash. Your credit card's busted. You're like, how much money can you scrape together? Like $3.50. You put that in and then it gives you like the options of what you can get as a little basket of goods. I think it's freaking genius. So thank you to the friend who recommended that. I might have to write an episode about that, or maybe I'll do like a ranking of fast food apps. That could be a fun little episode. One of the more produced episodes, potentially. Because if you start to play with those apps, I'm big in the McDonald's app and Starbucks app. I got so many points coming out my yin-yang. It's crazy. I like it, though. The gamification. McDonald's getting in with the NFT game. Oh, yeah, it's there, baby. It's happening. Blockchain is the future. Don't get me started. So thank you to listener number 1. I'm paying attention, man. I promise. Listener number 2. Hey, you were super, man. You helped me identify a key song from my hot yoga class that I couldn't recognize. So for some of I'm not sure if everyone here listens to all of my content. The different streams might appeal to different audiences. I think there's some of my content consumers are what we'd call like the power users. Like, I'm not missing a single episode of Raff's Brain. I don't care what he talks about. I got to get that. Okay. I'm a fan of that level of commitment. I think you have questionable judgment, but I dig it. Anyway, one of my loyal listeners was talking about a hot yoga problems episode where I couldn't identify one of the songs. That was the problem of the day. So for those of you who don't listen to hot yoga problems, these are very, very short. They're usually like 7 to 10 minutes. It's in my brief drive back from my local hot yoga studio where I practice 3 to 4 times a week. I just hit record on the ride back and riff about some of the problems that I'm encountering in that class. It's often related to my inability to perform certain techniques or poses because I'm a fat slob and I'm out of shape. And everyone else in there is like fit as a fiddle, making me look like a jackass, basically. But it's a good time. One of the problems of the day was a mysterious soundtrack. Like, there were songs I didn't know. I hadn't even heard them. I couldn't even define the genre of music I was listening to. But one, it sort of struck me as a song I had heard of before, but it was like a Broadway musical. 534,600 minutes, something like that. It was a great tune. I liked it, but I didn't know what it was. And one of my loyal listeners reached out with the clutch name of that song, which now escapes me. But it's from the Broadway play Rent. Yes, Rent. Look it up. It's real. It's a big one back in the day. So yeah, that was playing. Thank you for listener number 2 for helping me on that margin. And the final listener, who I appreciate very much, he acknowledged that he likes Mallory Moss's episodes, my niece, who will have his third episode out this week. Stay tuned. Now, he did say, man, you got to get better audio. And I will confess, when I was recording that latest interview with Mallory, I basically put my camera up on the dash of the car, and we had the air conditioning on, and it got a lot of wind in the background. I was hesitant to upload it, but then I realized, who cares, you know? The production quality is subpar, but if people want to listen to the conversation, you can look beyond that and still get some value and enjoyment from it. So I uploaded it. I didn't think anyone would listen to it, but one of you, at least one of you, did listen to it, got back to me, say, Raffety, I love those Mallory Moss episodes. It's very inspiring to hear young people with ambition, with work ethic. It's cool, man, because she wants to grind. She wants to make money. She wants to get the movie theater and make it better. I dig that. But you got to step up the audio game. That episode was trash, man. Your audio was trash. So I like it when people are direct. And so I appreciate you, listener 3, for being very much embracing of the feedback culture that I try to foster in this platform. Man, we're pushing 37 minutes. How far did I go? 1.5 miles. Plus, probably a good 7 to 8 minutes I wasn't tracking the steps. This is the problem, see? I could have been close to 2 miles. But anyway, let's wrap it up here. We've already gone longer. This might be the longest episode of Walk and Talk in history of Raff's Brain podcast, the brief history that it is, 4.0 version in particular. Let me know what you think. I obviously ranted on a lot of things here tonight, and I don't know where I'm going to go with this podcast the next time we tune in. I will be doing some hot yoga problems. That's always a happening thing. As long as I'm in town, which of course I've been traveling a lot lately, so that's not been as frequent. I'm always going to do at least 1 or 2 hot yoga problems a week. I should probably do 1 walk and talk a week. Let's start to put that down on paper. And the interviews, that's just like whenever I can grab someone that wants to talk with me. I'll rap with anybody, anytime, anywhere, about anything, and throw it on this podcast, because that's what I do. That's the ethos. And then I got my birthday episode, and I got my State of the Union. So I got a lot to do. It's time to get to work, people. I'm back. I am back. I'm like 98.9% back physically. That is such a beautiful thing. My health is back in order. It took me 2 months to get past that crap, but now I'm ready to crush. And I appreciate your patience. We're going to step up the content game. And we're going to head strong into 2025, which is going to be a far superior year to 2024. I am absolutely certain of that. All right, friends. Thank you so much. Until next time, take it easy. Bye-bye.